Hello and welcome to the February 2020 layout update for the Trent Valley Railway. In this update we'll take a look at the plans and progress for the scenery section. So what I've had to do is look at putting in the crossover on the lift out section. We will take a look at the wiring on the inclines, but you'll see all the way along there I've tidied up the wiring above for the incline. And finally we'll take a quick look at the Network Rail HST with DCC sound. Since the last update, I've been doing much more planning on the track work and what this means for changes that I need to put in on the approach to the scenery section. Doing a little more work finishing off jobs that I didn't quite get complete over the past few months, and then also fitting some more DCC sound to the trains that you'll see during this update. So let's get straight now into the update, and I'll talk you through some of the latest planning and the work leading up to this area here on the scenery section. I've now got several concrete points, both left hand and right hand points, to start working up the track plan for the scenery section. I've added first of all a point off the main line. This then feeds into another point but in the reverse direction, which will go to a shunt neck siding for locos. There's then a bit of space before another 2 points which then feed the 3 sidings for the container depot. These then go all the way to the very back of the garage, and over the past month I've been checking to see if I've got enough space for the length of container trains that I want to run, and also if there's just enough space at the very back for a loco to detach itself from the train, and it then gets locked in until another loco comes on the front of the container train ready to go back down the incline, and that will come off the shunt neck siding. So once that new train then departs, whether it's loaded or unloaded, it will then release the loco at the very back of those sidings. So those are the plans in very short detail for the track work going into the container depot. I've also spent a bit of time deciding which end I was going to have the container depot. I looked at some alternative junction locations at this end, but decided not to go with this. You'll see here in a quick picture that shows what that junction would have looked like, and although the curve and the sort of incline comes much closer to the back wall at this end, how it would have operated coming up and down the inclines, and also the space that it left for the scenery section, wasn't as good as what I've got currently laid out on the scenery section. So in the current proposal here, I will have those containers all lined up at this end at the very back, and then it also has the space at the very end of those sidings to detach the loco and leave it locked in at the very back before it can go back to the shunt neck siding. When I was looking at the track plan for the scenery section here, I couldn't quite fit in a crossover without compromising on the length of the sidings or the scenery section behind here. There's also then a curve as it comes around from here onto the incline and lift out section. So what I've had to do is look at putting in the crossover on the lift out section. So these 2 points here are wired up and ready to be put in on this section of the layout. So I've started here by taking out the track work from the centre to the right hand edge to put in that point and to line it up with the track coming off the lift out section. I then now need to do the same for the other point, but take out the existing track on the other side. I've now got these 2 points in with the left hand point to form the crossover coming out of the container depot to go down the incline to the fiddle yard. I've taken up the track on the other line and I've put the wires through the lift out section. I'm now ready to put in the concrete sleeper in these gaps here, and as you'll see, these points move freely on the right hand side of the lift out and also on the left. So they're ready for the point motors also to be put in underneath. I'll now continue to put in the extra track pieces and wire those up as well. So I've now cut down the track and first of all got the small piece in on the left hand side, tidied up the wires as well, and then got them nicely lined up with the incline track that goes down the incline in that direction. And then as we come across, I've done again the other piece of concrete track to the right hand side here and pinned this down and also lined it back up with the incline that goes and carries on towards the scenery section. On the underside of this lift out section, I've now got all the wires which need tidying up. At either end, I've then got 2 holes ready for the point motors and then the pin to go through, so one at this end and then one at that end. What I've also done here is then taken out the framework on the edge, which is why there's 2 foam insulation bits covering up screws, because otherwise the framework would have clashed with the point motors. The next stage here was to wire up the lift out section into the terminal block pins at either end, which fixes this lift out section into place and connects it to the rest of the layout. I've then also connected up the red and black wires into the terminal blocks in the middle for the DCC bus wire, and then there's 2 frog wire green wires left. These will eventually go to the point motors. I've then also now installed the first Cobalt digital IP point motor at this end. This motor has been positioned over the centre of the points and it's now ready to test. I'm pleased to say that I've successfully installed the Cobalt digital IP point motor here. I've also then set it up with the Z21 system and the app. Set the address, so if we give this a quick test here and throw the point, it should go over to that side, and then it will also throw back in the opposite direction. So I'm pleased with how that's working, and I'll now move on to the other point for the crossover here and get the digital point motor here installed as well. So I've now got the second point motor installed on the underside of the lift out section with the pin going up into the point above. I've connected up the DCC wires into the point motor as well and across to the terminal blocks in the centre. I've then been able to set the switch on the point motor to learn, to take off the centering device, and then also to set the address. So if we come up to the top and then give it a test with the Z21 app and throw the switch across. And then in the opposite direction. I'm happy that that now all works, and that will work with the other point as well on the crossover, which means I can now carry on with the track work in the next month or so over onto the scenery section. Over the past month, I've also been tidying up the wiring on the inclines and putting in the rest of the foam insulation. This is all ready then for when I fix down the boards on the scenery section above, but as you'll see as we then go across the top of the fiddle yard here, I've tidied up the wiring that was previously dangling down, and this has all been done all the way to the other end of the fiddle yard. I've also done the same on the other sections of the layout, so we'll quickly now take a look at some of the pictures for how the wiring has been tidied up on the inclines. I've managed to get as far as taking the wiring on the inclines up to the scenery section. So these wires come down from the scenery section above, and they'll carry on once I start to put the track down on the scenery section in the next few months. But I've got then the wiring done for the inclines between the lower level and the level above for scenery, and they connect into this area here at the moment, where I've still got some wiring at the back because this at the lower level is where I've got up to, and still got to actually put in the wiring to the DCC bus wire for the inclines at the back here, and also the incline as it goes up towards the lift out section at the very end of the garage. But you'll see all the way along there I've tidied up the wiring above for the incline, and then I will come back and do the wiring underneath this section once I've decided what I'm going to do with the area in front of here at a later date. Whilst doing the wiring on the layout, I also thought I could do the point motors for the lower level of the layout. These had been left over from the previous Sandwich and Ashford layout that I had, but they're now taking their toll in terms of their age, particularly for these DCC Concepts versions here, and also for the Bachmann ESU switch pilot, which hasn't got enough oomph to power the point motors. So this part of getting these fixed up is on hold whilst I get some more up-to-date and latest DCC point decoders. This is the latest DCC sound train I have now on the Trent Valley Railway, which is the Network Rail HST. This has got the Hornby TTS sound decoders in both power cars and has got quite a lot of features for the price you pay. So we'll just watch this go around on the Trent Valley Railway and also hear some of the sounds from the sound decoders in each of the HSTs. So that's all for this February layout update. Thank you very much for watching, but do keep an eye out for more videos over the next month on model railway exhibitions, and then the next layout update in March. Cheers.